See your faces. All right. So we still have a few minutes. So as we wait for a few more ladies to join us, in the chat, or you can also unmute. Just please tell us, where are you signing in from? Are you in Kampala in the jam? Did the meeting find you at home? Just type in the chat or unmute. Tell us where you are from. As of me, Jam found me, no, not the Jam, but I bet the Jam. So it found me at home here in Chirinya, Bulgaria. So I'm very grateful. It's very cold. So anyone else, ladies, where did this meeting find you? Are you still on the road? Yes, ladies. Okay, I see Brenda. You are welcome.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
This, this meeting has found me when I'm in bed, covering myself.
Amazing, amazing. Surely we need to be covered in this weather. We have some coming in the chat. Some people, the meeting found them at home. Patricia, she's at home. Maria is in Zambia. She's just leaving work. We have Sakina. She's in Nairobi at home. Well, I guess there are a lot of ladies at home. Lillian is she's from Kenya and at home. Amazing, amazing. I guess most people beat the jam. Okay, I don't want to speak for everyone, but it looks like most of us beat the jam. Okay. Okay, we have Susan from Columbia. She's at home going to bathe the babies. We have Stella. She just reached home. Amazing. So we all made it for the meeting. You are very welcome. So it's 7 p.m. Welcome, ladies, once again. My name is Belinda Hopapuno, and it's amazing having you here. I will be joined with a group of ladies. So let me just project my screen so that we can start right away. Okay. Let me just put it in presentation mode. Okay, so today we are covering a session on parenting unfiltered, a shared journey. So you're very welcome, ladies, once again. It's amazing having each and every one of you here. So before we start off with anything, the other one was just a small icebreaker. So the main icebreaker for the session is, I hope everyone can see my screen. Oh, my emojis disappeared. I'd put some colorful emojis. But the icebreaker is describe parenting in one word plus one emoji. So I kind of put some emojis there. There is a heart, all love. There is anxious. There is a baby bottle. I put it there because I kind of interpreted it as baby steps. There is money. It's expensive. So in the chat, just type um, one word that you can use to describe parenting and one emoji. You can also unmute. You can describe that emoji for us. Okay. People are still thinking. Okay. Oh, so we have Patricia. Patricia says her emoji is a heart and blessings. So parenting is a blessing to her. Diana is kissy faces and love. Brenda is a heart and it's love as well. Amazing. Thando is the praying hands and sacrifice. Anyone else, ladies? Stella, it's a hug. Let me see, let me see. Uh, oh, I don't know, blooming. Patricia, the cool sunglasses. Exploration, amazing, amazing. Carol says it's work. Carol, we missed your emoji. I'll be waiting for that. Then we have from a Koth. She says hers is a laughing emoji, and she says it's adventurous. We have Zaitun. It's hearts, and then I wonder if that's like little tears. Okay. Blessing our praying hands and perseverance. Zahara has our heart, joyful and nurturing. So you see, everyone has a different perspective on parenting. So we have Lillian, hers is nurturing and a heart. Okay, so we have a very wide difference on parenting. So anyone else, ladies, that one word you would use to describe parenting and your emoji? Let me see. So for me, let me also give my what I understand about parenting. I'd put it on on my slide. Money in the corner. I'm just remembering my parents. It's so expensive to be a parent. I'm just imagining they had to pay my school fees. They had to pay for everything that you can think of. So yeah, expensive and perseverance. I gave two. Okay. Anyone else, ladies? We have just 1 minute, then we can move on. Anyone else? That one word to describe parenting and that emoji. Okay. Okay, for those that just joined us, because I see a big number has just joined. For those that just joined us, we are having an icebreaker. The icebreaker is describe parenting in one word plus an emoji that you can use to describe it. Okay. So we have one more submission from Maria. She has is a heart and she says parenting is beautiful. Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much, ladies, for all those contributions, but please feel free to keep them coming in the chat. So thank you so much, ladies, for participating in that small icebreaker. We shall just move on to the next part. So before we even continue, we shall have our Sisters Keepers prayer at Girls for Girls. This is the mantra that we keep at heart, and we desire that every lady has this prayer at their heart. So let me just invite one person who can volunteer to read for us this Sisters Keepers prayer. Anyone? Anyone wants to volunteer to read for us? All right.
I'm here.
Thank you, Blessing.
Hello. Okay, let's all be attentive. My name is Blessing. I'm a mentor. Yeah, happy to be here. I am my sister's keeper. I will build my sister up, encourage her, empower her, and pray for her. I have, sorry, my screen is disappearing. Sorry, I have no reason to talk about her, tear her down, be jealous of her, or to compete with her. I am going to stand behind her, help push her into her destiny.
Amazing. And we end it all with Pretty Women Pray. Okay, it's not here, but Pretty Women Pray. So this is the one thing that we say at Girls for Girls before any session happens, so that we become each other's keepers, so that we do not tear each other down. We are looking out for each other. So thank you so much, Blessing, for that. And so from here, let me invite the amazing Diana to take us through the next part.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Belinda. my co-moderator, and really, really the one who has made sure we get here and this space gets going. I'm so excited to see you ladies on. It's a wonderful space. I will tell you a bit of the background of why we started this particular segment, a G4G parenting space. And really, it came from the fact that many times as parents, and I'm talking about biological parents, nurturers, caregivers, people who are in a position of responsibility towards a younger person. And many times when there's a challenge, when there's conflict, when there is a trauma, many times the parents who got a chance to share were saying that the parents and the caregivers are ignored, and there's no space for them to be heard. There's no space for them to learn from each other. There's no space for them to carry each other's burdens. So this space is for all of us who have a heart to nurture, to guide, and who are doing it actively and currently. It's a space for us to come, learn from each other, share our burdens, live enriched, live fuller, so that we can give more in the spaces we're called to be parents. We're called to love, we're called to nurture. And so this is the first segment of what will be continuous monthly segments. And our three panelists today are all amazing, and they're all rich in terms of hands-on experience and rich in terms of what they love to do and what they share on. So our first panelist is Dr. Hanifa Sengendo. And Dr. Hanifa is a pediatrician. So she has met children and adolescents in the ward, in the hospital. She's a public health specialist, meaning she's studied and understands and appreciates trends in public health and looks at the data, and it speaks to her. But she used all that knowledge and she has brought it together as a coach. And one of the things she's so passionate about these days is about going out there, engaging in corporate spaces, in communities, in any space, and talking to them about the need for parents to come alive to the wonderful duty of parenting, to come alive and show up. Because she likes to say, when the children are, quote unquote, confused, many times the parents are also confused. So both ways, it works that if the child is emotionally troubled, the parents are emotionally troubled. And she's said, how can she partner with parents to change this situation, to help them be emotionally stable, so that in turn they can they can help their children also grow. The second panelist is Sakina Taki, and Sakina is a suicide first aid tutor. As a parent today, I'm sure one of the tough conversations you've had in the spaces you are in is about suicide. It's a reality that many young people and many old people sometimes choose. It's a reality that today we are faced with. And I first met Sakina when I did a class with her, and I felt equipped, and I felt I was better placed to go into some spaces and have some conversations and face the brutal facts. But also she helped me lose fear when you see a very challenging situation, an emotionally challenging situation. And sometimes when you have doubts, she made me realize that it's possible to actually face up to the situation and engage with it. So Sakina is so passionate about mental health, about suicide awareness, about educating others about suicide. She runs a class every month around suicide awareness. It's a certified class from the UK. And as you can see, she's pursuing a PhD from the University of Lancaster, so that she can contribute more to her community. She's based in Nairobi, Kenya, and she is a big contributor to mental health, in the mental health space there. And already, because she's part of us in many ways, she is also supporting our community locally. The third panelist is a lady who is close to my age, and she is also called Mama Children. Interestingly, her nickname came because children are just drawn to her. And once she realized that her passion, her love for children, was more than the desire to show up in a formal workplace, she committed her life. So when you see women in markets with babies, Mama Children or Estella is one of those champions who is trying to find a way to place centers in markets for women who have to work and have to come with their babies to be able to prosper, but have their children get decent care. She's also a very, very active mother, and a very active a person who, if you need her and you call on her, she will be there for you. And so she's constantly learning, constantly evolving, so that she can support parents to better engage with their children and support their children to grow. So those are our panelists. We're going to start this conversation, but we're going to leave a lot of room for you who's tuned in to ask your question. So from the get-go, you can begin to post in the chat, what would you want to hear today? What would you want us to prepare for you maybe next month as we begin to have these conversations? Because we are here to engage you, not just here to talk at you, not just here to, to just tell you what we know, but also to learn from you and to make sure we're speaking to you. So I would like to invite our panelists to just say a quick hello, audio testing, tell us where they're calling in from, and tell us one thing about them that makes them passionate about the path they've taken before we go into the discussion. So I will invite Sakina. Please tell us where you're calling in from, why are you so passionate, what drives you in this journey, and then we'll invite our next panelist.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. Sakina Taki here. I've tuned in from Nairobi, Kenya. And I think what drives me is the fact that when people, leave our space after speaking to us, they're happy. And what we do is actually saving lives. Imagine being the last phone call somebody thinks they're making is to you, but you try and change that, and you give them hope and they live. So I think that's my driving point.
Thank you, Sakina. I can see the joy at being able to, make a heart connection and just change perspective. Yes, Dr. Hanifa, please, you're welcome. What drives you? What makes you so passionate? Where are you calling in from?
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. I'm actually calling in from Chanja, my home. Yes, and I'm so excited that I'm actually on this call. For me, what drives me basically is because when we talk about parenting, it resonates with me because I've had a hard time, partly, but also I've made hard choices. And when that is made, and I use that experience and the sharing and some of the practices, and I see a parent smiling at the end of it all, I feel like, it is not the money, but it is that transformation that you see in the parent and the smile that actually keeps me going and passionate, especially for us mothers, parents in the corporate space.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hanifa. You've used your personal experiences, the tough lessons you've gone through, and you're using them to transform other people's lives. Thank you so much. Estella, how are you? Where are you calling in from? And what makes you so passionate that people call you Mama Children?
Thank you so much, Diana. Thank you so much, all of you who have logged into this amazing conversation about parenting. I'm calling in from home in Buate, abroad here in Chira, and what brings me to this space? mastering the art of communicating to children. All of us are complaining about how we failed to communicate with children. We say they are digital, they are this, they are that. Everything is negative. We never find a solution. So I've desired and I've designed everything to make sure you can communicate to your children. So I'm very excited that I've mastered over the years. It has taken a lot of practice, more than 20 years, practicing and understanding children. And I would love to share with you so that you too can practice and communicate with your children effectively. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Estella. I'm smiling as I think of my 15-year-old and my 10-year-old. I think they will appreciate me more after, taking down some notes and practicing. So ladies, I hope you are ready. We're going to dive into our conversation. Again, this is really just a starting conversation to stretch us. We will be holding these sessions monthly. You will be hearing more from our panelists and from other people we shall bring on to have this conversation. But these conversations are focused towards you as the parent, towards filling your cup, towards supporting you to grow, and towards equipping you to face the reality and to nurture and raise the family, the children, the close young people you have in your space. So, Sakina, I'll be starting with you. And we're going to touch a sensitive topic, of course, in our African culture, and a very heartfelt topic in Uganda today. And everybody, we're really going to be talking about a perspective of suicide in children. What happens and how, as a parent, you can maintain your mental health in the face of a crisis with your child. And we know there have been many stories in the press. We know families who've been affected. And as we listen, as we listen to you, Sakina, really, we hope that you will just, speak to our hearts, but also give us hope. So Sakina, what are the early signs of emotional distress in children, especially? What should we as parents be looking out for and alert to?
I think some of the signs that are very simple, and we take those signs as being dramatic or attention seeking. One is isolation. So sometimes you will realize that your child doesn't enjoy playing anymore. Maybe it was playing a certain game on the phone, or it was playing outside, but they're really isolating themselves from their peers, from their cousins. And this is not because they're being rebellious. And I know in a lot of the cultures that we grew up in, the result for anything that your parents did not like was to get beaten. But in this day and age, we have to understand when a child is isolating himself, there is something. And sometimes they're not able to express themselves. So we really have to read through these signs very keenly. The other thing is mood swings. All of a sudden, you realize that, and you will see that this happens at certain times. It could be a time of a day which is stressful for the child. Maybe when the child has come back from school, you're like, when he is or she is either going to school, there's a little tantrum. When they're coming back from a certain place, there's a little tantrum. Maybe when there's somebody home, a relative, a friend, this child is throwing a tantrum or, is not behaving well. That's how we look at it. But take that mood swing as a sign. Realize a lot of the times the emotions in a child are very simple and they cannot mask their emotions like we do. If I do not enjoy somebody's company, I will maybe not say a word, but I will sit there. But for a child, the emotion is very simple. You either cry with somebody, or you laugh with somebody, or you talk to the people you like, or you run away from the people you don't. So when your child is behaving like this, try and identify the timings. Is there a pattern in the timings? Is there a pattern when they're seeing what that particular auntie or uncle, this is how they behave? Or when I'm taking them to somebody's house, this is how they behave. And you will also come to know why exactly they're behaving that way. Look at a pattern in probably sleeping. or eating, has there been a change in pattern? If your child is somebody who has a very good sleeping pattern and all of a sudden they are waking up in the middle of the night, there's something abrupt about their sleeping. What is happening to this child? Remember, kids also cannot express, maybe when they have dreams, or what they have seen, and they are very imaginative. They create this movie in their mind. So make sure you're trying to see what exactly is bothering this child by seeing if their sleeping pattern is not okay or their eating pattern. There's something wrong with their eating pattern. Sometimes you'll see even the child will stress eat just like an adult, or sometimes they will just refuse to eat. But the child is not usually like that. And I will give you a time frame. Look for how a child is behaving within 2 weeks. That is a good time frame, because sometimes what happens, if as a family you've gone through something, maybe you've lost a loved one, even the child is affected. We think children don't have emotions. Only adults can cry. The kids don't really know what's going on, but that's not true. So give it 2 weeks and see, try and identify these little patterns in children. Dropping of grades. All of a sudden, your children are not bringing in good grades or are not performing very well in school. Try and find out the reason. It's not all the time that they have to bring an A, obviously, but if your child has been performing a certain way and all of a sudden there's a drop, what has happened in that environment? Try and find that out before going at the child.
Thank you, Sakina. 3 things: change of patterns, mood swings, but most importantly, track this over time, an isolation, and track this over time. So, Sakina, how can we as parents begin to have these conversations, to talk to our children about suicide, about mental health, in age-appropriate ways? I know different people here are nurturing and are guardians over children of different ages. So how can we begin to consider that cross-section?
I'm going to actually share my screen and I'm going to show you some very fun activities. The other thing we also have to realize that going to school, kids are very bored of you just talking to them. You have to play games just like adults. We always don't want somebody to come with a PowerPoint. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you something, and I will be able to share this on WhatsApp with with the admin, and they will be able to share it with everyone else. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
This is a simplified version of what we call the feelings wheel. Again, realize your child does not know how to express themselves. So, and expressing means when I'm angry, what do I do? How do I react? So, a lot of the times you'll see a child banging their head on the wall because they don't know how to control that temper or their anger. Many a times you'll see them shouting, and you sometimes wonder what is wrong with this child, and it's so embarrassing. But how should they react in different emotions? So have this little game with your child where let them draw it, let them color it, and ask them, don't draw the emotion for them. Tell them, according to you, what does angry look like? And you know what they'll do sometimes? They will draw an angry face. Have you seen the way they've drawn an adult angry? And they might be depicting, this is how you look when you're angry, or this is how Uncle so and so looks when they're angry, worried. And you will realize they will put a picture of what exactly happens when they feel worried. You can see here the child has drawn a broken glass. This means that if the child breaks something in the house, he has a bit of stress because he knows maybe somebody is going to shout. And then there's proud and sad. You can see here the child has drawn like they have been cut on the leg. That means when you fall, you feel sad. Excitement. This child might be having a sibling. So this is a very good exercise to do with your child, which is fun. You do it together, but you get to learn a lot about your children and compare it to this. If this particular child feels happy when they get a gift, maybe your child feels happy when they're given a plate of chips. You will also learn their love language like this. So this is one exercise that I think.
Sakina, One question in the chat is, if you're talking about child, what age bracket are you covering? If we're talking about this tool particularly.
So I would say this tool can go from anywhere between 5 years to 9 years. You will just see a slightly more complicated emotion as the child grows. So after the age of 9, 10, they start to understand more complex emotions. For example, a child might not know he's confused, but a 10-year-old will tell you, actually, I am confused. So when you're doing this with an age category that is a bit bigger, maybe 10 to 14, use slightly complex emotions. And then for an adult, there's a whole different wheel. So I hope I answered your question.
Thank you so much. And when you said there's a whole different wheel, I believe you say you'll be sharing these with us so that we can share them with all those who registered for this space. Okay. So, and I think just maybe help me also put it into context as parents. How can we, I don't want to say, strategically have these conversations, when, where, how do we prepare ourselves?
So talk about mental health the way you talk about physical health. First of all, if you are going to hesitate to talk about something, your kid is going to pick it like this. They are very fast at picking emotions. So if you're going to hesitate to talk about mental health, they will know that here there's something fishy. So if you talk about prevention of a disease, let's say you do not want your child to fall sick. So you will tell them every time you come inside the house, wherever it is from, shopping, school, playing, you wash your hands. And this is how you wash your hands. And you wipe your hands so your hands are dry. And now your hands are clean. And because your hands are clean, when you eat, you will not get, your stomach will not hurt. That's how we teach a child physical health. So how about we teach them a preventive form of mental wellness? And we are going to do this. I am all about doing exercises, so it's practical. So I want you to do this exercise with your children, all right? Tell your child, whenever you're feeling like you want to shout, or maybe somebody has told you something and you're feeling scared or angry, sit down with your feet flat on the ground. All right. So if we can all sit up with our feet flat on the ground. All right. You can tell them to put their hands on their laps and just tell them to close their eyes and concentrate on their breathing. So that is exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to concentrate and then just tell them, just concentrate on your breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, very slowly start moving your feet. Very slowly, you move your hands and very slowly open your eyes. It literally becomes a game for a child. And if there's something you have to understand in a child is how many of us till today we brush our teeth before we sleep, not because it's written in a textbook, because our parents told us to do so. And it just becomes a habit. Or I know growing up in Africa, we all say a prayer before we sleep. Just it's out of habit. If we've been doing it since we are, from 3-4 years old till today, you will say it without realizing. Make that a habit in children. And then teach them what to do in the moment. So if you are angry, normally if you see a child is angry, they will break things. They will hit their head. So you tell them, actually, when you're feeling like this emotion is called anger. But instead of getting angry, right, by throwing something, how about you go outside and maybe run, do something more energetic in a positive way. And this is how you talk to children. And I will give you one example of a child who was having suicide ideation. We had a student in our suicide first aid course, and she was a nursery teacher. And I was very shocked because even I wouldn't know that a nursery teacher would be interested in suicide first aid. And she told us that one of her students between the age of 6 and 7 came to her and said, I'm in a dark place. I don't want to be here anymore. The child doesn't even know what suicide means. But just him or her saying that they're in a dark place and they don't want to be here anymore. Try and dissect more when your child tells you this. Don't take it lightly. The situation there was that this individual heard his brother saying something similar because his dad and his brother who was probably about 11-ish, was having a fight with his parent. And he said, if you're not going to let me do this, I will kill myself. I will go away from here. So this child has internalized it, that my brother is going to do this, even me. So we have to really, really be careful and hear what these kids are actually saying and teach them that when you're feeling like this, it means it's anger, or you're feeling sad. But when you feel sad, take a pen and paper and draw, because drawing is a form of journaling. And be very keen when your children are doodling or writing something randomly or coloring, because that is their form of expression. So we have to be extremely careful about how we communicate to kids, but that does not mean we don't communicate to them at all. Just the way we talk about physical health, it's the same way you talk about mental health. When you're feeling like this, it means you're worried. Remember, they have simple emotions. And when you want to talk about a topic like suicide, all right, do it via emotions. I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you another. I don't know if this is the one. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I see my emotions on it.
Yes. So look at these emotions. They are slightly more advanced, slightly. Like some kids feel embarrassment, but they don't know what it is. So that embarrassment sticks and it becomes a reaction. For example, if a child is in a family gathering and maybe the child falls, or maybe they pass wind because they are kids, right? The family starts laughing. The kid is embarrassed, all right? But according to us, because it's a child, it's fine. They don't know what's happening. Or we find it cute, but to them, they're embarrassed. So you have to explain to them, when you're feeling like this, when you're feeling like, you don't want to be in the space because you've done something and you feel people are awkward towards you, it is called embarrassment. But when that happens, this is how you react. It's okay. Sometimes the world will look at you in a certain way, but you don't have to worry. This is whatever you did was natural. We all do it, right? So use such a diagram. And, for parents, we normally tell them print these emotions out. And it's good because nowadays kids are smart with emojis as well. And every time they come from school, tell them to pick an emotion. Or you tell them, today in maths class, what were you feeling? And when you're talking to kids, don't ask why and how based questions. Ask what based questions. If you ask a child, how was your day? Fine. How was maths? Fine. But if you ask them, what did you like the best about school today? It will make them think, what exactly? So ask them what-based question, print these out, and let them come and pick an emotion and ask them randomly. When you see Diana, I'll use you as an example. When you see Auntie Diana, what do you feel? And you will see that they will tell you how other relatives or friends and family make them feel. And you will now start to notice that sometimes it's not the child's fault. It is actually this particular individual that makes the child uncomfortable. So I hope this exercise also helped you and will help you talk to your children about mental health.
Thank you so much, Sakina. And I know, Estella, we're going to go into communication at some point. But as I conclude with you, and in just a few minutes, I want you to speak to the older child, the teenager, because, my question is around the fact that parents, feel that raising children is emotionally demanding. So how do we safeguard our own mental health while being emotionally present for our children? And I really want you to speak to, you know, the older child who you can't just tell, go to your room and close the door. You know, let's have a conversation. The teenager, the young adult. Yes. How do we safeguard our mental health in light of these demands on us?
So the question is about the parents, the
parent, yes, but
if there's, first of all, one thing I would like to tell all parents is stop judging other parents. We are so good at that, especially when our child's friends come home. We will judge the way they talk, and it is not the child. All of a sudden, it's about the mom. I know the mom, she's just like this. Even when she was a teenager, she used to be like this, you know? Stop judging each other. Parenting is such a difficult journey. Everybody's child and everybody's children are very different. So start from there. Just know when you're pointing a finger at somebody else, there are 3 fingers pointing at you and one is pointing to God. So that you will start from there today. Right? So stop judging other people. And then very importantly,
How much? 80%. Stop. Almost a kg.
Sorry,
Stop.
and most
Don't
importantly,
talk to me. It was just that day, bro. I ate like a, yes, I knew it.
all right, I think everyone's muted. Also, most importantly, don't judge yourself. We are humans at the end of the day, and no child is born with a manuscript. They are not a machine from China. Every child is very different. The way you will raise your first child is very different from what your second child will be like. So don't come in with the concept of, if I did this with child number 1, child number 2 will be the same. No, you have to adapt to the different personalities of your children. Take constant breaks. Remember, if your cup is empty, you cannot give. And what we normally do, or what parents normally do, is you wait for that point when you're breaking or when you're burning out. Okay? And you have to realize that sometimes, especially as women, we are kind of that knot that holds everything up. So if we break, sometimes the effect and the ripple effect is way harder. So take constant breaks. Make sure whether you're feeling you're okay or you're overwhelmed, once a week, go and hang out with your friends, or, where your kids are even kept in a safe place. Grandparents' house, maybe they are tuitions, and this is my time. Also, parents, please have alone time. I cannot emphasize how alone time is essential. What we are doing nowadays is we are becoming emotionally dependent on someone, and it burdens also the other person. Sometimes, for example, Estella, I will give you an example because you're a very good friend of mine. Sometimes maybe whenever I'm going through something, I will call Estella. Now Estella will look at her phone ringing and say, I can't talk to her right now. Don't drain somebody out like that. So learn how to deal with your emotions by doing mindfulness exercises, by learning your emotions. And if you're in Uganda, I want to let you know that Estella and I are actually working on a stress management workshop that will be in Uganda in August. So come and learn techniques of how can I handle myself. What is my personality? Sometimes if I'm not getting along with somebody or also my child, there's nothing. It's just a personality difference. So use these techniques of, maintaining, build resiliency in terms of your burnout times. It will take you longer to burn out. Or that, by Thursday, I will tell you myself, Thursday is my crash day. And I've noticed that. By Thursday, I'm feeling, when is Saturday coming? And I've noticed for me, it is a Thursday. So what I try and do nowadays is by Thursday, I try and keep my work light. I'll be okay on Friday, but if I rest a bit on Thursday. So Thursday, I will probably have a late morning, or I will make sure I have time to rest because I have very early mornings because I like to meditate. So I will take a nap. I will make sure I don't have too many meetings. Learn yourself. Know yourself well. That's the only time you will be able to help yourself. But if you think you want this title of super mom, there is nothing like super mom. There is nothing like superhuman. and we are not perfect. And stop this vision of I am strong, I can do anything. Please just be in your feminine energy. And when you think you need a break, you need a break. You are also a human being.
Thank you so much, Sakina. Thank you. I don't know which day I'm going to begin taking off. Monday. How many people agree that Monday is your energy? You're going right to the boss, dear sir. Oh, madam. But thank you, so many takeaways. And I really like that you put the mirror in front of us and you said it's about you. Start with you. Yeah. So now we are going to, our next panelist. I don't want to call her super mom, but really the way she juggles everything is amazing. Dr. Hanifa, I can see her connection is not strong. Can you say something so that I can confirm you there? Okay. All right. Estella, it means I'm coming to you and we're going to talk about communication. So ladies, today, cross-section of panelists, really just starting the conversation. We'll be having monthly session, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, on the call. And today we've started with Sakina. We've talked about suicide and the reality we're living with and what do we do. And now we're going to go to Dr. Hanifa and we are going to talk about intergenerational parenting and self-care, picking up from where Sakina left us. So, Dr. Hanifa, how many children and how do we parent differently from how we were raised? Is there a correlation? Do we actually model what we, learned, or that we pick up new lessons and we embrace them as we go along?
So thank you very much. By the way, this particular segment of parenting resonates with me so much. Why? I have 6 children. Some of them are now in their 30s, then their 20s. Then I have the typical Gen Zs, then teenagers. So with my story that in my initial parenting mode, I was this person who was so authoritarian. It was like those of you who have done the military trainings, the kadani moja. What I say must happen now and not even a little, change. And so when I did that, as I went through the different parenting generations, I realized that actually I was wrong. Every time I would actually be conflicting with the first 2 bonds. Why? I thought that the way I was parenting the first and second born, it is the way I needed to parent the millennial or the Gen Z type. That caught me unaware. Until a time when I actually asked myself what the problem was. And secondly, my firstborn is introvert, but very smart. My secondborn is extrovert, very smart. So as a young parent, I actually thought that the way I was to parent both of them had to be the same. So all the time I would say, you see, your friend is talking, he's out, he has stood up. I didn't know that I was actually hurting my introvert child. Until a point in time, by the way, I realized that first of all, she was getting away from me. Like I think she felt I wasn't understanding her. I remember one time she said, Mommy, you don't understand me. But for me, I was this, hyper mom. Why? Partly because of my personality, but also because I didn't know. I was a young mother. And I thought this girl who is introvert also had to do the other things, because the extrovert was a prefect, was a class leader, was always, playing this game. Meanwhile, this one was quiet, doing her marks very well. She was performing very well. But then I did not realize that, first of all, personality of the children was different, but also the generation. Now, my teenager, he's now 12 years, soon 12. wherever I am speaking to him, we are at home, these ones feel offended. They say that, but mommy, our days, oh my God. Would you respond to mommy that maybe let me first sleep and then I'll do my homework, give me 5 minutes. Maybe today I want to watch football. So they say, mommy, omukuze chejo, as in you are sort of holding him with glove hands. But for me, this story just teaches me that the way the world is changing is the way as parents should also be changing. Otherwise, when I realized the constant conflicts, the lack of love, there was no bonding, I later tried to change. Why? Because with due respect, I realized that the Chikono, the authoritative, very authoritarian way of parenting was not working for me. Only if I changed a little. Because, initially, children were just knowing me as their parent, then they go to the teachers. But let alone, remember that now internet started coming in. It means that I needed to be cognizant that the world was changing and myself, I had to change. By the way, all the time I would say, why aren't you changing? Why aren't you, responding to what I'm saying? I realized later on my fourth born, actually third born, there I had started, flexing, trying to. I realized that actually it wasn't the child. It was not the child who was supposed to remodel themselves. It was I, the parent. Why? Because I had to appreciate that it is a different generation. All the time I would say, for us in our days, you don't just look at people like that straight in the eyes. You have to do this. You have to kneel 20 times. You have to do this. I realized that the generation was calling for something different. I realized that I could no longer whatsoever say that I was a super parent. There was an influence, moreover an influence that was virtual. That is the social media. That is when my children even went to study in Cyprus and I didn't have control. I said, oh my God, now I can't be calling, have you washed your panties? Have you, cleaned this? I myself just noted that the generation was changing. So what I had to do was to remodel myself by understanding and writing down. By the way, I'm saying writing down, I'm not just saying understanding, writing down the values of my family. Because all the time I assumed, don't you know you have to kneel? Don't you know we are Muslims, we have to pray 5 times? Don't you know we have to dress like this? Don't you know? But I realized children of nowadays, they needed things that are documented. Sitting together and going through them made a whole difference. So I sat down, I wrote my values, and when my children came back, like during vacations, we sat down, we went through these values. I realized that actually there was a better relationship. So the intergenerational gap of the judges, those are like the silent generation, of us, the baby boomers that are in their 60s and, late 50s. And nowadays we have millennials that are actually parents. We cannot parent the same way. I had a hard choice. Because at a point in time, I said, my child should not even touch a phone. When phones were just beginning, they should not touch a phone. I realize nowadays, my son has to be on his iPad. He has to be on his phone. I just regulate that. I say, okay, now, how much time should you have? He says, no, mommy, give me an hour. Then I'm like, okay, let's agree 30 minutes. And then you can do your homework. Before, no listening. Homework now. It must be homework now. So, my fellow parents here, for me, I had a very hard time to adjust because I didn't have such a conversation. A conversation that would actually tell me that as a parent, I needed to study my children. I needed to understand that children have different capabilities. And as a parent, I should remodel the signals. The Wi-Fi was stronger in this area and less in this area, because we are in the era of the digital world. So Diana, what you have asked is really, really resonating with me. But for me, those are some of the things. And I would just ask parents, maybe in your notebook, do you realize that sometimes you say things to the children and you are like, oh my God, I wish I hadn't said this. Yet you don't want to go back and say, by the way, I'm sorry, I hadn't, I'm wrong. Because why? The way we were raised. Our parents were never wrong. They could never say sorry. So we carried that trait of saying we should parent the exact way that our parents actually did it, which is actually wrong. We can pick some of the things that work, but we need to adapt. We need to change. It can't be the same key. The key has to have other screws based on the social networks, based on the way now our children have friends that they have never seen with their eyes. We as parents need to remodel, to adapt ourselves. And you see, the conflicts that were happening with my children, it took me long until actually at a time, let me just share something very small here. When I did my, I just want to be alerted whether my screen is visible. When I did my pediatrics.
It's double click to enter full screen mode. Yes, now it's there. It's there.
Okay. I realized that actually, when children are growing, the way they will see the physical body, like, hey, this child is growing, what? The teens have big lobes as far as love is concerned. So as a parent, you have to pick what is the love language of your child. Why? Because each child is a different personality. I see my children, some of them just want, like, we go out, we take a cup of tea. Others just want us to sit together. Others, So as a parent, do you see, as your child gets into the teenage, you see this brain, the love lobe is actually very big. Parents, as we do the intergenerational parenting, are you picking the love language for your child? By the way, we pick love language for our husbands and for our other people. Have you picked the love mode or the love language for your child? Fellow parents, see this lobe that has rebellion. Naturally, as children grow, as they are discovering themselves, the hormones are telling them that you need to rebel a bit, and you face the world a bit so that you harden. But now, this rebellion part, you need to understand it as a parent. What switches your child on? What switches them off? What nags them? Do you badmouth and then you cause rebellions? What is the rebellion formula for your child? And many, many other brain lobes for the teens as they grow. But now catch the self-image. In this generation, by the way, we realize that our children, first of all, it's true. They are beautiful, they are handsome, they are taller, they like to smell better than us. Hey, remember us, you would go to the well or come out dugala bichi bichi. Now our children are so self-image centered. They see that perfume and say, Mommy, there is a perfume, it's online, let's get it. The cardio, the what? So for me, initially, I did pick this self-image. So because I was so strong, I was so, hard, I wanted my child to dress like me exactly, without any design, without any fashion. That is that time. Every time would be conflicting. How are you dressing? Why are you doing like this? I later just realized that actually my child was going through a self-image point, time, growth that I needed to be cognizant. Fellow parents, have you picked the way your child wants to image themselves so that you can help them model using a value system? We cannot say that because of the generations, their values, we are going to throw away the values. No, we just need to adapt on the way how we implement those values. As I finish this particular part, for me, I would actually punish my children, corporal punishment only. Actually, one time they actually nicknamed me Kalau. Why? When I come, the house is that I go to the kitchen. Mulao, mulao, mulao. But later, my dear, reaching my 4th, 5th, and 6th child, I realized the mulao can no longer work. I had to flex a little to talk more. Why? Because what Sakina has talked about, the mental stability, the mental vulnerability of our children is now more important than just being a disciplinarian, you know? Yes, so that's basically my story about the intergenerational parenting.
Wow, wow, wow. You've taken us all the way from medicine to the brain, to your, personal experiences. Thank you so much for sharing and for sharing from the heart. And, with 6 children, I can imagine the love languages you've had to adapt and embrace, on the face of it. Doctor, although there are many young parents, and today I speak to parents as people who nurture, who are guardians of other younger people, I just want you to share with us the advice you'd give younger parents who feel torn between traditional expectations and modern parenting practices. I'd like you to share just 3 pieces of advice so that we can get into the bit of communicating. And again, what I just want to tell to all the people listening, we are just having snippets from our panelists. We're tapping into their wealth, but we will be having monthly sessions, which will be scheduled, where we'll go deeper. So feel free to share topics of interest that you'd want us to cover. Feel free to begin to put your questions together. If we don't answer them this time, we'll definitely pick them up next time. So Dr. Hanifa, over to you. 3 pieces of advice, share with us.
Thank you very much. For me, I think, first of all, is for us to know that generation has changed. How do we adapt and change ourselves? We can no longer say that, you see, for us, we used to work in the community, they would beat you. What is the community to beat you when you are indisciplined? So for me, I keep telling people, one is that as young parents, you have to realize that parenting is a job. At our workplaces, we actually always upgrade. We have workshops. We have, even your WhatsApp, you upgrade. My son, sometimes when my phone is freezing, says, Mom, you just need to upgrade your WhatsApp. So as parents, we need such spaces. We need these spaces. As people share, you pick a word, 1 or 2. What is the love language of your child? So for me, having a space for me to learn and unlearn, for me, it took me long to unlearn because I thought I knew it all. I thought I would never be sorry. And it cost me because I realized that all the time I was going off the bondage with my child. So let's unlearn. As parents, we are also human. Let's be ready to adjust some of those things. If it needs to say sorry, you say it. You don't lose your doctor. You don't lose being a mother of 6 like Hanifa. You don't lose anything. Let's note that our children read us. The other one in this young generation, let's try to be models. Let's actually be models. The children's brain mostly pick on what they see than what we tell them. So if you tell your child that, don't be on phone, you all the time, you are laughing, the things are jumping here, then things are, you are stopping the TikToks, and then you say, don't be on phone. You are not a role model. Young generation, even us, we have to be role models, no matter what. We can no longer say, as our parents see, they used to suffer, what. You're suffering now is in being a role model, whether you want it or not. For example, for me, I intentionally don't respond to calls or messages at the time when I'm doing homework with my child. Because I realize that is a good time for me. I sit with him. Normally, it's not even more than 30 minutes. So those 30 minutes, I create that quality time. The other thing for me that has worked for me is actually trying to really write down what my parenting. Are you able to see my slide?
Yes, yes, yes.
It is for me to be more intentional than just saying that I'm a perfect parent, I'm a go-to parent. No, 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 no. We cannot parent the same way. What works for me 100% will work for you maybe 30. Then you pick another 30 from somewhere, then another 30. Dear parents, we need to be more intentional than just saying I have 6 children. Why? In this era, where we write our work plans at the workplace, where we have workplace goals, do you have your parenting goal for each child? So we have come up with an intentional parenting journal. The journal that helps you to take a step backward and say, oh, child 1, oh, this child is a retrovert. I think I just need to encourage him or her like this. Or this child is papa, papa. So how do I cool him down, or how do I, pick him up? But also you as a parent, how do you be more intentional? You die a little. Some of us never want to die a little, for lack of a better word. This intentional parenting sometimes tells you, oh, can you step back a little and give yourself a little space? Even at the workplace, sometimes we give ourselves a space of, let me ignore a little. Do you ignore a little? Okay? Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Hanifa. I think that one tip I've taken away is be a role model. Be a role model. They are watching you, and they are going to learn from you even more than what you say. Thank you again.
Diana, just one more thing I wanted is that as we do the role modeling, let's also not over pamper the children. For me, at a point in time, as I tried to change, the 4th child, I realized I had over pampered. This is a child I didn't want to go obagenda kona kuboda taxi bichi, because now I was trying to change, be a good super mother. I realized I over made him brittle. Now later I tried to start exposing him slowly, trying to let him do certain things, and then it took me a hard time. So fellow parents, let's give a little calculated risk to our children, because the brain picks or it adapts to environments that are hard. If you go to a cold region, you'll feel so cold the first few days, but afterwards your body adapts. But our children are raised so brutally. I made that mistake, and it took me a lot of hardness to correct it. And I want to share with fellow parents that we need to expose our children to high frequency, low risk, calculated, endeavors, Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hanifa. I think you need to tell us where to get that intentional parenting journal so that we can actually, write down and be intentional and strategic on seeing what we're missing and what we're actually not capturing when we step away, and we can come back stronger. Thank you.
I will just put my number in the chat room. We can actually, people can order it online.
That will be lovely.
Yeah.
So Estella, we are here with you, Mama Children, the children whisperer. Some people say, how do you even talk to your children? Where do you start from? As we tackle the conversation around communication between parents, children, and schools. Yes, parents, our kids are at school for most of the year. That engagement is very critical. Estella, what normally causes communication breakdown between parents, children, and teachers?
Wow. They've said it all. Thank you so much, Diana. There is always this thing, my children don't listen. The children don't understand. Everything is all about the children except us. So what is exactly communication, and where does communication start from? Dear parents, I'll start with the mothers. Communication starts at conception. While that little thing is in your tummy, you're communicating. And this is very, very critical of how you communicate to that drop. I would call it a drop because 0 to 1 week or what, I will call it a drop. But you have to start communicating to your child at that stage. Every day they grow, they progress, you're communicating. What are we communicating? Matters. We all love to say good things. We all love to receive good things. So at this rate, it is you who is pushing the information, who is making that call, just like a prayer. We always communicate to God. We tell him, dear God, give me this, dear God. We never ask for bad things. So the same communication is what you tell the person in your tummy, because you share the heart, even if they own theirs. You share your mind. So everything you communicate starts then. You talk to the child. Now, if you say anything wrong or have a wrong communication, it could be a wrong signal. Let me pick on suicidal. It could be a wrong suicidal thought when you're pregnant. You've communicated to the other person. That child is bound, very, very bound to think or be suicidal as well, because that's what you communicated. So communication starts at conception. It goes through pregnancy. As you massage that tummy, you're talking to this child. I love you. You're the best. You're this. Then comes to birth, where all of us get excited. The child has come, her sweet Estella, look at her. She has a gap in the teeth. Then we embark on the first 100 days. Between conception and 100 days, the child's brain is growing to a tune of 85%. I repeat, the brain is growing to a tune of 85%, meaning whatever information they take in, whatever we do for them. Now, the communication may be verbal, where we speak to our children, but then at this rate, the children are very, very visual. They take in what you do, how you smile, how you quarrel, how you do everything. They take it in. The good, the bad, the evil. It's all being imprinted. Now, challenge is we always think the children at that stage, they are young. Even when the household, even when someone else is telling you, Estella did this. No, she's young. Estella is young because I'm 2. Mukwano, the brain at 2 is imprinting everything. Knows how mommy speaks, knows how mommy behaves. You will see children always imitating, even at 1 year, and walks and shakes the head, because that's how you do it. They are watching you. That's the communication that is not non-verbal that they are picking. Then how you speak to other people as well. The child picks it at that stage. Now, we proceed. We send them to school. School is our biggest parenting partner. Doctor will agree with me. Children spend the longest time of their lives more in school than with us, the parents. A year, that is about 85% of the year, that is about 7 months to 8 months in school. So they stay with the teacher. And we are also good parents. We make sure the child goes to school very early and stays in school the whole day. Meanwhile, in the first 1,000 days, that is the first 3 years, we left them with a variety of maids. So what they communicated and how they communicated to them, God knows. That's what they imprinted. Then we are also, some of us, .com mothers. We are happier if there is a daycare that can take the child on throughout the night or for longer days. We leave the child there because we have to work and look for money. So it's best we dedicate that responsibility to someone else. Whatever they communicate to the children, that maid you have, that teacher you have, that matron or childcare person you have, whom you don't know actually very well, is what the children are exposed to. So when we come to they're 3, they start school, now they're adapting to another system of communication. They're getting used to another stranger who is also training their brain differently because now they go to school. So we start the education system, and we're also very good parents. We can take the child to school at 2. So that our problems are resolved. These children are stressed. So we push them into school earlier. What happens is we've missed out on the communication, or whatever we've imprinted in the first 1,000 days is what is in their heads. Then we start rolling out at school. Now, the child is going to behave at school the way they know. If mommy is quarrelsome, if when I throw tantrums, the whole house is punished because I'm a child, that's how I'm going to behave at school. So the school, unfortunately, the teacher who tries to communicate to the parent that Estella's character is not acceptable, Estella is abusing other children. My dear mother Diana comes in and assures the whole school, assures the teacher, assures the director, and I'm watching my mother and I'm like, wow, that's my mother. She first assured everyone at home while I was a kid. Now she's assuring the school teacher, the headmistress, telling them how for her she can even pay everyone's salary. Estella is watching and I'm like, that's my mom. She's the best. Now I grow and become a preteen. So while I'm a preteen, I don't know where actually I belong. Now, teenagehood is a transformation. Am I a child or am I an adult? So every day kids are in between. Am I a child? Am I an adult? Even you're telling me, but Estella, you're not a child. Behave. But then I'm not an adult. So how do I behave? So this navigating into this age appropriate, I don't know whether I should attack you as a parent or I should remain silent and throw tantrums as a child. Now, the fact that you trained me that Estella is still a child and no one touches the child, and Estella, she's the princess, whatever communication you had is how I'm going to behave in public. We say kids throw tantrums. I used to throw tantrums when I was 5 because I wanted Teletubbies. Now I'm 14. I don't watch Teletubbies. I've upgraded. So I'm going to communicate with the same way. I'm not going to throw tantrums like I used to. Now I have to change the communication mode. I can decide to break the TV because I'm older. So my brain also thinks a little bit older. And at this age, I'm loading the 15% on my brain. But I'm topping up on how I was nurtured, how I was managed while a child. Many parents, this is when they break it loose. No, my child doesn't behave. That is not my child. You did not impart the values. You did not have the right communication style. If you always spoke to your child, they'll speak to you. If you created a bond while they were in the first 1,000 days, you can stretch it up to 5, 6. If you were not there, you did not create the time to be with me, to understand with me. No, there is no way you can now sit me down and make me understand. You didn't understand me, you will never understand me. You didn't create for me time when my brain was still growing, so I don't have time for you, my dear. So in this case, parents start fighting with the children. I don't understand Estella. Even Estella doesn't understand you. I've never had a bond. We've never spoken. You've never hugged me. I'm with maids. I'm with teachers. And even you assure the teachers. Now let me go and assure the teachers as well, because you taught me that the only way to place these teachers at their level is to assure them. So when you come to school, they tell you, Estella is abusing the teachers. That is what I saw. My mom always came and assured the teachers. From nursery, you don't touch me, you don't speak to me. And it goes on and on. How do you manage to communicate to the children? Now we go back to their level before we hand them over to the teachers. 1, we have to invest time. You invest time so that you understand the children. The reason we cannot communicate effectively, we speak and they listen. Doctor said in our days, you never spoke back at a parent. But then we are like phones. When you ask me, Estella, why did you do it? I have to answer. But then in our days when we were growing up, when you ask Estella, why did you do it? You don't allow me to answer, you slap me. How sure are you I'm the one who did it? You have to give children time to defend themselves, even if you saw them doing the wrong thing. But the fact that you've never been in their lives, like intentionally be in their lives, you will never understand and you'll never know how to communicate with a child. Doctor had an introvert and an extrovert. Those are two different children, but you own them. But if you spent the first 1,000 days, you would realize one child is different. The way I smile to Estella, Estella doesn't respond to that smile the same way. So the way I communicate to Estella would be different. If one kid loves pulling the ears, you do that. If it's fun, it doesn't apply to the other one. That is all mastered when they are young. Then when it comes to adolescence, you only build a bond you started. You can't start from scratch when they're adolescents. Now, the challenge why most of us cannot understand that you speak to a 5-year-old differently from a 15-year-old. A 5-year-old understands Teletubbies. So whatever conversation you're bringing, it has to start with Teletubbies. Now you see Teletubbies, you have to come to their level. If you have to communicate, when they've done something wrong, you have to look in their face. You have to communicate directly to them. You have to actively listen to why they behave the way they behave. They will tell you. They know what they are doing. Every child knows what they are doing. So when you're communicating to them, it has to be intentional and you have to be active. Active is put away this lovely gadget. Give them time. Listen and listen carefully, whether it makes sense or not. People were sharing, Doctor was sharing about how for her she learned from our own experience. I learned from my father that even when you've done something wrong, you have a reason as to why you did it. We punish you after you explaining why you did it. So the reason why we are not communicating right is because we are not, one, we don't have a bond with the children. We lost it when we were chasing money. But we are not able, or we don't have the ability to come down to their level to be at their space. If you're going to speak to a 5-year-old child, I've told you, first start with a cartoon. Understand what cartoon is there, be at their level, then start a conversation. If you're going to speak to an adolescent, you're passing information to an adolescent, you're going to quarrel, in quotes, with an adolescent, first be in their space. Understand, okay, at this age, they don't want to be shouted at. So let me first sit down. I come to their space and then understand them, then communicate. All of us have been adolescents. And I tell all the adolescents, I've been where you are, you've never been where I am. So I've passed through that stage. And we've all had that same challenge. Only difference is, in my generation, we wrote love letters. In their generation, they send emojis. Oh,
Sorry. Yeah.
in there. They've never been in Manyeka. I'm still an and understand what you went through and how you managed. You'll be able to come and communicate to them effectively.
Thank you. I'm smiling. We are taking up children's quality time from their parents. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Estella. I'm just fascinated, but you will come back and tell us what can we do? You know, we didn't have the time. We were not as aware of the 100 days and the 1,000 days, but here we are. nurturing, and sometimes we're looking after children who we did not nurture or give birth to. So where is the middle ground? And how do we embrace this new season and work on ourselves? And specifically for parents and teachers, how do we advocate for our children when there's a challenge? Because you're saying we go to school, we quarrel, but how do we advocate for our children? We're invested and we are keen. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to speak to that, and then I want us to be able to tap into the conversation in the chat and hear from other people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. How do we rebuild that? It starts with active listening.
Yes. Okay.
And once you have intentionally decided to listen to the child, then on the other side, we will understand. When you understand, then you will be able to work in collaboration with the child. Work in collaboration, and I make it there because every child is very different. Every child has different abilities. While we stress them with academics, some are not academic students. So when you understand their abilities and understand who they are, then you'll be able to support them effectively on a journey. One thing is very sure. Every child knows their weakness. Every child has a solution. You have to work with them, not impose on them a solution that works for you. That really will make sure the children are well catered for and the parents have very good relationships with their children.
Oh, that's so powerful. They know their weakness, they know their solutions, and they're just waiting for us to collaborate with them. Wow. I'll take that on.
One thing you asked for
about
what
how do I
happened
advocate?
communicating.
How do I advocate as a parent for my children in at school without coming off, as you're saying, seeming to put down everybody?
You understand your child. Okay. Once you understand your child, you'll be able to focus on their needs, not the school's needs. Wow. The schools are concentrating, for example, on academics. And you know your child, you've analyzed their abilities, they're not academic giants. You'll be able to seek support from the school to help this child excel at what they're able to do, not focus on what they cannot do and force them or break them because it's all about academics. Wow. So you'll be the only advocate to say, I know my child's abilities. Can we help them excel where they're good at?
Wow, I have taken that down in bold. Focus
in
on
bold.
the needs of your child.
You asked about communicating with children, building a bond, I think, with children, biological.
Who you've not had a chance to nurture from
and those you've not had a chance to nurture.
Yes.
Over the 20 years, I've been mama children. I've been able to come across thousands of children I didn't give birth to, I did not nurture in the early stages, but I've been able to transform. I come to their level, I understand who they are. As long as a child is a school-going age, above 8, most preferred, they can communicate how they feel. There is a way they communicate everything about them. You start from there. You understand them from that level. A child who is adopted has trauma, has pain, has a past. If they can communicate it, then you help them right. For those you took on when they're very young, now I go back to the parent. If you cannot love enough and understand the own child you gave birth to, you cannot support an adopted child.
Thank you. Very tough words, very tough, but very clear also. Very clear. We need to reach the children at their level where they are. Estella, how can we reach out to you? I think you need to put your social media handle in the group, in the chat. But thank you so much, our panelists. And to all those who've been on, thank you so much. It's exciting. We really wanted to test and give you a flavor. We are going to bring you experienced panelists. We're going to talk about heart issues not hypothetical parenting issues. And I want to invite Jerry Opoka. She's a renowned mental health, supporter in so many ways. But Jerry is also a support to so many parents, and she bridges the gap many times where there's pain, where there's lack of communication. And Jerry, I just want to hear you you were there when we were conceiving this idea. How do we create a space for parents to actually come back and refill? What are your observations? You've been that bridge. You've been that person to who Sakina was saying we shouldn't drain, but somehow we come back to you and say, help us. So what should we be aware of as parents as we walk this journey, so that we can focus on being better and being full enough to pour out of? Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you so much, Diana, and thank you to everyone on this call. This has been possibly the best conversation I've had on parenting. Very simple and yet very, very powerful, with lots of wisdom and simple tools that we can use. Diana, thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I am Jerry Opoka, mother of two beautiful girls, turning 21 and 18 this year, but also a mother of so many other children, especially the friends of my children. I am really passionate about children because I think as parents, we tend to think that being parents means that we are the end all and be all in this relationship or in this partnership, and we are the ones who know best for our children, and our children don't know. Now, while that is true on a great scale, I really would like parents to understand that when God was choosing, my daughters are Imani and Tiana, when God was choosing who was perfect for Tiana and Imani, he looked around the entire world and he chose me. He chose me and their father because he knew that inside of me was exactly what those children needed. But also inside of those children and their temperaments and their moods and how they saw life and how they loved and how they expressed themselves, there was perfection for me as the mother. Now, when we understand that, then we move away from a type of parenting where we are always so afraid that something is going to happen, something wrong is going to occur to ourselves, to our children, or, which leads us down a path of what I call fear parenting. And so many parents are doing this, so that the no's and the yeses are coming from a place of fear. What if this happens? What if you become this? What if you die? What if you become a drunkard? What if you become an alcoholic? And a child is simply saying, can I just experience you? Can I experience the world? Can I experience that which we have been blessed with, so that I can grow and understand? So that is, parents need to understand. And the other thing is that parents, the perfection in who you are for your child and the perfection in who your child is for you also means that these children have actually come to uncover and unearth traumas that we are sitting with. The way that we were raised left a lot of trauma. Estella has talked about how we would, a parent asks you a question and does not expect you to respond. For us as when we were growing up, or you're feeling things, but you can never speak up because a child was only seen and not heard. So you have carried the trauma of not communicating, and now you have children. How do you parent those children? Those children are going to push you to address certain things with yourself. Those children are going to push your traumas to come up to the surface. And when Sakina was speaking earlier, you talked about the emotional chart for the little children, then the next level, then the next level. And I was like, where is the emotional chart for the parents? Because we cannot define and identify the emotions that we are feeling in different situations with our children. So what do? We just think we are protecting. We just think we are loving. And yet there is pain inside. There is sadness that is cropping up that we are not identifying. And because of that, we do not understand what our inner self is communicating where this child is concerned. Because when we deal with that trauma that is trying to come through in response to this child's behavior, then we learn a thing or two about ourselves. When we heal, that which is trying to creep into our child from us ceases immediately. You know, they say when we heal our traumas, we heal generations past and generations in the future because we are no longer passing down that trauma. So understand that your child is perfect, your child is teaching you, and you are teaching your child. Then the other thing is that we talk a lot about judgment in so many different environments. Do not compare yourself with other people. Do not judge, and so on and so forth. But my question is always, where does this thing come from? How come we're all trying to teach each other not to judge? Judgment comes from a place of competition. We are all competing with each other. That is why now, on realizing that competition doesn't work, we're all saying, do not compare yourself to somebody else. But why are you competing? Right from primary one especially, we sat in school with the same uniform. Everyone had a white shirt and maybe a blue skirt or gray bottoms. That means we were leveled. My identity did not come through. My personality was not allowed to come through because we all had to sit down in this square room in a cube and look at this rectangular board all day. Go out for a few minutes, come back to the programming. We sit in there, and then at the end of the term, an exam. One same exam is passed down to all of us. And then we choose who is number one, who is the last, who is the bright one, who is not. But bright compared to who? Compared to the rest of us. So you go back home with a report card and you're number 3 out of 100, or you're number 97 out of 100. Your parents will say, you're not smart enough because you're not doing as well as the other children. What about the learning style? Was it your learning style in the first place? So now your parent is going to push you compared to the other children. But what is that breeding in your parent and eventually in this child? Fear. I fear that I'm not good enough. I'm not as good as. Now, because you're not as good as, you've come from competition, it has exposed you, and now out of fear, you judge. You're always looking out for who else is not doing a very good job. Who can we push the blame onto? Who can we look at and say, they too are failing? In fact, that is why we put this information out. You know, we are told that when you judge others, it's because you're judging yourselves. This is literally it. I know that I have flaws, but who else has flaws that I can point at? So that then starts to expose us. Then the fourth thing is, in what season are the parents? First of all, before I move to the seasons, we need to understand that back in the day, children were raised communally. A child today, or before all these hormonal disturbances came in, a child went into puberty at the age of 13. That meant that in God's wisdom, that child was ready to have a baby. Today, education makes us think that that child is so young. The wise design of the Creator was that they are ready. Now, they were, however, not ready to raise that child. Who was supposed to raise that child? The grandparents. When that child goes off, after having a baby, they're going off to the world, they're going off to play because they're along the way, they're getting involved in all kinds of activity. The grandparent is the one looking after that child. Because of the lived wisdom that this grandparent has gathered, they are able to see that this child has this kind of temperament, the other child has the other kind of temperament. As mothers, even at 25, we are still too young and too raw to know how to pick these things up. If you look at all of us and the things we're saying about children and all the wisdom that we have now, it is because we're at the age where we can now look back and see what we did wrong. But this is why we need to be valued or valuable grandmothers today, so that we're helping our children raise their kids. Otherwise, in the hustle of understanding their own lives, understanding the relationships they're getting into, understanding the jobs that they're doing, the money that needs to be made, and so on and so forth, there is only so much time they can give to their children. That is where we come in. Now, we also need to lastly look at the season that we're in. I'm so glad these days that there is all this talk about andropause. Like, gentlemen, welcome to the party, because it seemed like this whole menopause mess was only with the women, it's end of life, but the men are starting to come out and say, oh my God, we are struggling. And you're struggling the same way. Libido is down. Hello, welcome to the party. The body, you're losing muscle mass, you're gaining weight, you have brain fog, you're confused, you are wondering if your life is going in the right direction or not. We thought this was only ours, but here's the kicker. We start to get into andropause and menopause, or for women, there's perimenopause, and soon the men are going to come up with their own name also for their perimenopause season. But for both of us, it starts after the age of 30. Somewhere around there, we hit the climax of cell regeneration and so on and so forth. Why? Because the season that God had borrowed our bodies to procreate has ended, and he's saying, Jerry, go back to being who you want to be. Define your life the way you want for the next 80 to 100 years. Now, at the time that we're going through this, there's so much confusion, there's so much pain that we're dealing with. What is happening to my body? What is happening to my life? As we are declining, our children are entering adolescence. So they are coming in, we are going out. They are stressed, we are stressed. They're fighting with what is happening to them, we are fighting with what is happening to us. But they need our support, and they're going to get it from us, from teachers, from everybody. No one is holding the hand of a menopausal woman or an andropausal man. You are on your own fighting with the world. So how are you going to parent your child when you don't understand what is happening to you? I became so passionate about, I feel like I'm passionate about everything, you guys, everything in life. Anyway, I'm so passionate now about menopause, helping women transition this season so that we can understand the power in our shift from mother to matriarch, from a nurturer to a wisdom keeper and dispenser. If we don't do it right in this season, we struggle. Right now, I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about a program that I'm running, Menopause Health and Weight Loss. It's a 6-week program that starts on the 26th of July. But what is special about this program is that when we understand what is happening to us, we are able to make the right shifting choices for ourselves. Where do we want to go? What do we want to do with our lives? How do we maintain health so that we are a grandmother who is valuable to our children and their children, so that we can support our children who are adolescents better when we understand the season that we are in, so that we can support the people in our communities that are going to support our children as they grow up. So I will share this with Diana, but it is so critical that it is not about weight loss. And that's why I put the weight loss second. The health is mental, is physical, is emotional. It is especially spiritual, because in the spiritual is where we deal with the trauma that we are carrying from generations past. So when we understand ourselves as parents in this, who we are, the stage we are at, what we are carrying from how we were raised, then it helps us look at our children with a different eye. It helps us listen to them better, because for a lot of what we're dealing with, it is a repetition of what happened to us. It is a repetition of struggles that we had. And you hear so many parents saying, I went through that. How come I'm okay? My question is always, are you okay? If we asked your children, if we asked the people around you if you're okay, would they say you're okay? Chances are that it is not, and it's okay, because that is where we start the healing process. Thank you so much, Diana, and thank you, ladies. That is all from me.
Thank you so much, Jerry. And ladies, I know we have really, really given you an overflow, but why? It's because we wanted you to realize there's a lot There's a lot we need to tap into. And I hope that the next engagement, you'll be ready and you'll be here with your friends, you'll be here with your sisters, you'll be here with your brothers, you'll be here with your husbands. Let's talk about how we can make it through well, We'll talk about faith. Where's the place for faith? Dr. Hanifa talks about values, many of which are coming from where we're coming from, either our heritage, our faith, but we'll also talk about our bodies, and we'll also talk about our minds, and we'll talk about, as Jerry, you really, really told me, what season are you in? Are you okay? The role, and the reality is that, Jerry, sometimes some people don't have the extended society, the mother, the grandmother, and it's tough. So we will get into that. People are sharing about co-parenting, singlehood. We are going to get into those conversations, and we hope that you'll be part of this journey, because we're doing it so that we can learn together and support each other. So I am going to invite our panelists to give parting shots as they tap into some questions that came off YouTube and some questions that have come out of this space. And we'll start with you, Sakina. Sakina, I hope you put your contacts in the chat. She runs a monthly course on suicide awareness. I've taken that course. It has equipped me. And Jerry, one word you used, we're living fear parenting. You fear everything. And I really was in that space at a certain point, but being able to learn from safe spaces has equipped me to have some conversations with myself and with others. So Sakina, over to you. But one question people had is 14 to 17, what's the reality? I'm dealing with a child. How do I actually engage where there's a mental health crisis on the face of it? But also, what are the main triggers for many of our adolescents getting anxious and getting depressed?
So a very interesting question. And, when they say that raising a child takes a whole town, it's not an individual, it's not individual effort. Please take that seriously. What I'd really like to encourage in parents is, please seek the guidance of qualified therapists, qualified counselors to be able to address issues in teenagers. I mean, think about yourself as an adolescent. How were you to your parent? What was that relationship like? You're going through so many big, amplified emotions. When you set about support groups for your teenagers, just the way we've had a session like this, imagine having a session with teenagers talking about sexuality, talking about your body and the transformation of your body, and having no parent there, a qualified therapist who knows the impact of privacy, because a therapist will never share what has happened in a support group. So how often can you do that for teenagers in your community, in schools, in your neighborhood? Organize that little tea break for kids to be able to express themselves. It's very hard for a teenager to talk to their parents. At the end of the day, as a parent, you want to protect your child to a certain level as well. What teenagers go through at the moment in East Africa, the problem we are having actually is very, very bad. It's substance use disorder. If I can advise you, please be keen on what your child is taking and what you are taking in front of your child. If you saw your parent drinking since you were 5, to you, that is absolutely normal. You will also start consuming alcohol at a very young age. In this day and age, we are having parents who vape. And vaping is being known to be very cool, very normal. And let me tell you, there are shops that sell vapes with weed inside. You as the parent have no clue, because to you, it's just a vape. So what you are vaping and what your child is vaping is two different things. So we have to be very cautious about what our child is indulging in as a form of entertainment, because substance use disorder, addiction, is extremely, extremely high. The other thing, what is really bringing teenagers down at the moment is social media. And that's only because we all know people live an absolute lie on social media. So when somebody is posting their pictures, very filtered, wearing a different probably set of clothes, especially when we see the life of an influencer, that is their job, to promote a brand. So the influencer will have a new pair of dress every single day, but she's returning it back. But when your daughters or your sons look at that and they're like, but why am I not like that? That really kind of brings them down. So explaining these things to them in an organized setting. Remember, with teenagers, they will always want to fight back. So having it with a professional therapist, a counselor, or somebody who understands and will get to their level, it's very important. And that is why sometimes when you go to a community, a church space, a mosque, teenagers don't want to go to those sessions because they feel like they can't talk openly. So give them a platform where they can express to somebody and have that somebody as a mentor. What you will realize is even as the teenagers grow up or they go through issues, they will always go back to that particular therapist, that particular mentor. So create a safe space for them without you in it. Sometimes it's hard to speak to you as well. Thank you.
Tears rolling without you in it. Noted. But thank you so much for that. And I think co-parenting has taken on many forms now, meaning the mentors, the counselors are co-parenting alongside us. Yes, Dr. Hanifa, I'm sorry we've kept you away from your home, but parting shots, share with us many conversations around parenting, workplace, how do you balance? Now we've held this webinar this time, children are, where do we draw the line? So help us, you're engaging parents in the workplace. How do we navigate?
For me now, I advocate for work-life integration other than work-life balance. In this intergenerational, destructive environment, we cannot balance our parenting roles and work. We can only integrate, meaning that at a point in time, I have to prioritize. Today, I told my son that I cannot sit to do homework with you because I have this webinar, because he knows they should also learn that life is not a formula like 1 + 1 is 2. Sometimes it's 2 minus or 2 less. So that is one. Secondly, for me, the focus on corporates is because as corporates, we think we know it all. Yet, we are the ones who buy the internet, we buy the expensive gadgets, and then we can't use them for very important, for a God-given role, which is parenting. You can know every trend of TikTok, every, modern WhatsApp, business, community, what. But do you know your parenting goal? Do you have even a place where you intentionally write, meditate, step back, step forward, rethink, relearn? And lastly, we should now be talking about an adapted village, where us as parents, especially working parents, we need to have intentional parenting coaches, the certified coaches, because for me, the problem I have with that is that some people call me and say, Dr. Hanifa, are you teaching Senga things? I say, I'm not teaching Senga things. I'm not teaching sex education. I teach sexuality education to our children. That is the way they feel, the mental, the communication, the issues. So let's have an adapted village through parenting coaching. I leave you with one question. Those of you who are driving, you have a third party for your car. Do you have a third party for your parenting risks? Thank you very much.
Yeah. Who's walking with you this journey? And is it, Jerry talked about the grandmothers, but today, clearly, we have to rent grandmothers and bring them on board on this journey. Thank you. Estella, parting shot, but also what is your experience? What is your experience? What is causing anxiety? Why Are we fearful in our parenting? And how can we calm those anxious, thoughts?
Why the children are depressed is because we are enforcing on them our expectations. So we don't understand their abilities, they don't understand who they are, then we impose on them what we expect. We, the parents, we and the teachers, we impose on them expectation. It pushes them to anxiety. Am I good enough? Am I good enough? So all along they are living in somebody else's life. We need to understand our children, and you can only understand your child if you take some good time and understand them. You have to be intentional. So the reason for anxiety is because we are imposing on them our expectations. My parting words: be the voice for your child, not the echo of your frustrations. When we've failed, when we keep on referring to what happened in our generation, we don't want to go back to that life. If anyone was told, could you have your parents once again, you start with, yeah, what they did to me. That part I don't want. If you don't want it, then don't bring your frustration to the children today. One thing is for sure, it takes a village to nurture a child, and Mama Children's Village is here to support you walk that amazing journey. You are a very good parent, and you are the best your child will ever have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being a part of this initial conversation. I see so many comments in that chat, and many of them are coming through. Thank you so much, Mariam. You've stayed on, you've shared. You really, really see the topic that's close to your heart. When we are having a conversation with parents, I think you're one of the next panelists. And to all of us, I hope we've been able to take away something, and it's been able to shape us until the next time we meet again in a month from today. Thank you so much again, and I wish you all a pleasant night. May we remember to lift someone up, to be a light to somebody, to cheer someone on, and of course, to find time for me, find time for you, find time to rest, find time, find a Thursday, a Monday, a Tuesday to take off. Sakina, you ruined us all. Thursdays are not work, no longer work days. Thank you to all the people who tuned in on YouTube, and thank you to all of you who've been here with us until now. Wonderful evening to you, and definitely we'll share the recording on YouTube, and we look forward to that next session. Picked up a few ideas, and we'll definitely pick that up. Thank you to Belinda, Gloria, part of the Secretariat. We couldn't have done this without you. Have a wonderful night, and God bless everyone. Thank you to our panelists. You've really given us a wonderful evening. We really
Thank you
enjoyed
so
it.
much for hosting us.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Sakina. Thank you, Estella, Dr. Hanifa, and Jerry. We truly appreciated and learned a lot from you. Thank you so much. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you. Blessed evening to you too.